Yenny Pajaro is suing his ex-girlfriend, Gigi Strackman, for a plane ticket, credit card charges, and a stolen cat.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2016, Pajaro versus Strackman.
Mr. Pajaro, it is your claim that the defendant, who lived with you for a brief period of time, owes you money for a plane ticket and for her unauthorized use of your credit card.
That's correct.
I don't know what the defense is to this, except that I think her defense is that you were just stupid and she took advantage of you. No. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm actually trying to figure it out. But you met the defendant, according to you, on an online dating app and started a conversation with her on what date?
So we met in March 2020 on a dating app for LGBTQ people. We started dating in March 2020. 4 months later, she moved in with me, which I know is not smart, but...
July?
Yes, in July 2020.
And where had she been living?
She had been living in Florida.
And where do you live?
I live in Seattle, Washington.
Did you send her money for a plane ticket? How did she get to you?
She had money herself at that time to cover the cost of moving.
So she moved and it was her own funds that she used to move?
Yeah, the swindling hadn't started yet.
You must have had some substantial What is this? What is this look? I don't know what this look is.
Oh, it's just the verbiage.
Okay, well, let me go back and let me start with you, okay? Because there's only one theatrical person here in this room, and that's me. Do you understand?
I do.
Yes. I get paid the big bucks to be theatrical. Okay, so Miss Strackman, you lived in Miami. He lived in
Seattle,
Washington. You decided to move in with him. What kind of work were you doing in Seattle?
I was a video editor, but when COVID happened, everyone kind of lost their jobs.
And what arrangements did you make with him when you were going to move in with him?
He told me that if I gave up my life in Florida, I had a very lovely apartment, lots of friends.
You had a lovely apartment, you had
I
nice
gave up
friends,
everything
but
to
no
go
job.
and move to Seattle.
Okay, so he said, move to Seattle and I'll take care of you.
Yes.
That's what you say in here.
Yes.
And that was in July of 2020.
Yes.
Is that about what you said to her?
No. The reason she moved in, again, it was 4 months after we started dating, which normally...
Had you seen her during those 4 months?
We had Zoom.
That's either yes or no?
No.
No, you had no physical contact with her?
No.
Okay.
But because we were in lockdown and we were both pretty isolated, it made sense. Her lease was ending and things moved really fast between us, so we decided to try it together. Yeah.
Okay. Was there any discussion about what she was going to do once she got to Seattle?
Yeah, so as she stated, she was a freelance video editor, and she said she was going to potentially have more work in Seattle and continue to try and find gigs for that or find other employment, drive for Uber Eats.
But she came to you and she wasn't working?
She wasn't working, no.
Okay. And the relationship with her ended in what month?
It ended in February 2021.
So it was a relatively short live-in period, maybe 6-7 months.
Right, because of her.
Did she ever work when she was with you?
Not that I
Just a second, I'm going to ask her. Did you ever have full-time gainful employment during the time that you lived with the plaintiff?
I did not. I was not supposed to.
I didn't ask you. I don't ask to be editorialized. I asked you, did you ever work full-time?
No.
Did you ever work part-time?
No.
Okay. Then there came a time, according to what I read in both of your papers, that he purchased a plane ticket for you to go back to Miami. That would be a yes.
That is correct. You're right.
And what month was that?
That was in February of 2021.
And tell me, in your own words, what you told him as to why you wanted to go to Miami, because he wasn't going with you.
He was not going with me.
Tell me what you told him as to why you needed to go to Miami.
I told him that I needed to visit my sister.
And does your sister live in Miami?
Yes.
Had you been there to visit her before?
I had, yeah.
While you were living with him?
No. I didn't travel.
So this was the first time you wanted to go and visit your sister?
Yes.
Okay, was there any specific reason that you gave him as to why you wanted to go visit your sister?
She was sick and I wanted to be there.
But did you tell him what she was sick with?
Yeah, it was COVID.
Does she live alone?
At the time, yes.
You know, it's not going to be easy. It's going to get harder. Now, the plaintiff seems like a relatively intelligent human being. Hands off hips. If somebody I lived with say, I want to go and see, unless it was a young child, maybe in a school or something that lived alone in an attic dormer, I want to go see my sister who's sick with COVID, and you don't have COVID, and this is 2021, I would say, well, why would you do that and put yourself at risk and then come back and put me at risk? Didn't you have that conversation?
We didn't, Your Honor, no. It just didn't come up.
I want to go take care of my sister because she has COVID. What about isolation? Did you ever hear about that?
I did hear about that. I spent a lot
Well,
of
what do you
time
think that means?
Isolation means not traveling.
No, isolation means you're not supposed to be around other people if you test positive for COVID. If you're sick, stay at home. You don't travel cross country to be with somebody who's sick. But it doesn't make any difference, actually, because you should have picked up on that or whatever, because you didn't really want this ticket, according to what I read, Miss Strackman, to go and visit your sick sister. You needed this ticket because you had started to become involved with a boyfriend who was in jail in Florida.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so that's a yes, which you didn't tell him. So you took the money from him for, let's just start with the ticket, under false pretenses.
I did, but I...
Just a second. That's all. I did. Not a but. Not a little. I did take the money from him under false pretenses when you went to Florida. He said you needed it for one thing, and in fact, you didn't. That's under false pretenses. How much was the ticket?
The ticket was for $427.40.
Okay. And when you went to Florida, Miss Strackman, and you stayed in a hotel, motel, what did you stay in?
I stayed in a hotel.
And whose charge account did you use for the hotel?
Yenny had given me a credit card.
That's not what I asked you. That's a name. Whose credit card did you use when you stayed at the hotel?
The plaintiff, Yenny's.
Mm-hmm. And that was by pre-arrangement with him that you were going to stay in a hotel rather than with your sister?
No, but I had the credit card for...
Now, that's not what I mean. Let's go back. You had the credit card. I'm assuming for the purpose of this question that what you say, and I don't know if it's true, but assuming for this question that what you say in your answer is accurate, that he gave you a credit card to use for your necessaries and expenses for emergencies.
Yes.
Yes. You would agree that going to visit secretly another boyfriend in Miami is not a necessity.
You would agree that Yenny cheating on me was not a necessity.
No. But did you use his credit card?
I did, and I believe that human love and kindness...
Okay, just a second. That's it. Do I look like I need help from you? If you had given him, Miss Strackman, a credit card, I want you to try to take everything else from out of your mind. If you had given him your credit card and said, I'm giving this to you because I said to you I would take care of you when we lived together if you didn't have a job. Let's say I believe that. I'm not so sure, but let's say I believe that. You would agree that going to see another boyfriend across the country was not a necessity for him, or for me, or for Whitney,
for you, no,
or for Sarah.
For me, I'm a woman with needs. I need dopamine, I need love, I need connection, and I wasn't getting that from Yenny. So it was a necessity that I went to go visit another man. Yenny had other girls as well on the side.
But you didn't, just a second, Miss Strackman, you didn't pay for the other girls. You didn't pay for his other girls.
I paid emotionally.
Oh, you said, what an idiot.
Yenny Pajaro claims his ex-girlfriend, Gigi Strackman, owes for the cost of a plane ticket, credit card charges, and stealing his cat. Gigi says they were all necessary expenses for her.
Now, you should feel so lucky that you got off so cheap.
I think you should assume everything that comes out of her mouth.
No. Yeah.
Because if I had, I wouldn't be here.
I get who I'm dealing with,
yes.
sir. $427 for the flight ticket. How much was the credit card?
The credit card, also there's an incident with my cat as well, which
Just a second.
I'll address later.
Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. That's your least strong suit, but it sort of tells me again who I'm dealing with. Okay. How much did she use on the credit card in Miami?
Okay. So
only in Miami.
Right. In Miami, she spent $1,000 on...
Now, just a second. Is that a sheet from your credit card company?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Easier.
Would you like me to add the $427 for the flight ticket?
Yeah. Let's separate the two for me now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Giving me stuff. Just show me where the bills are.
So those are two separate credit card statements because she used it in two separate months. One of those is when she initially started using it, which was...
I don't care when she initially started. Let's understand.
Yeah.
She got your credit card.
Yes.
I only want to see the charges from Miami.
Okay. It's the one that says bail bonds, the bigger charge, which was...
Just circle.
Okay.
How much?
That was for $1,000, but overall it was...
No, $1,000. We're going to do it this way. $1,000 bail bonds.
Yes.
Okay, next.
And then she spent $262.50 at a hotel for both of them.
$250 for a hotel.
And then she spent $105 on a fancy dinner for her and her lover.
And her what?
And her lover.
Okay. 150?
150 is not fancy. That's the kind of person you're dealing with.
150. I don't think there's a question before you, madam. 10, 4, $1,400 there. Is that close?
Including the 1,000?
Including the 1,000, but then not including the 425.
Yeah.
So it would be 1827.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Now let's get to the final issue. So that takes care of your plane ticket and the credit card while she was in Miami. Now let's talk about the cat. Ms. Strackman, you moved in with the plaintiff July of 20.
Yes.
And when you moved in with the plaintiff, did he have a cat?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And what was that cat's name?
That cat's name is Momo.
And you lived with him a total of approximately 6 months.
Yes, Your Honor. And during that time, the cat...
No, I didn't ask you any questions. There's no question before
Daddy.
you. There's no question before you. I have dates. You moved in, you lived with him for 6 months. When you moved in, the cat was there. And if you could recall, in what month and year had you gotten the cat?
I got Momo right before she moved in with me as an emotional support animal, which is legally protected.
When you say right before she moved in with you, give me the month.
It was
And where did you get the cat from?
June 2020. I adopted her from a shelter.
So you didn't have the cat long?
No.
When she moved in?
No.
And then the two of you had the cat?
Yes.
Okay,
But
great.
the cat was
and then when she, just a second, then when she left in February of 2021. Mm-hmm. Okay. We are now in August of 2022, and you recently filed this case with regard to your cat.
Right. I didn't know where she was.
Just a
She completely
second.
disappeared.
I don't care.
Okay.
You recently filed this case with regard to the cat. Did you make a police report when she left with the cat?
I don't.
The answer is either yes or no.
I don't like involving the police, so no. I didn't want to ruin her life.
Oh, well, I want to tell you something. I have a small 4-pound dog at home. I love that creature more than anything in the world, except my grandchildren, my husband, and my children. Hope there are enough life rafts for everybody, including the dog.
I did try to hire a private investigator in Florida, but I didn't know where she was.
Okay, you didn't report it to the police, and I do have a problem with that. Now, Ms. Strackman, you knew when you moved into him he had this cat that he had adopted.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me what led you to believe you had the legal right to take that cat?
Because that cat had become severely bonded to me. Yenny was neglecting both of us, both of the women in his life he chose to neglect.
Because I was working and
No, just a second. Don't.
Sorry, I paid for everything.
And so the cat.
So
and I
he was
bonded.
neglecting the cat and you, so you decided maybe half a neglect, you could be one whole person.
Exactly. Me and her are just getting out of here and gonna go start a new life together. I spent day and night with that cat. That cat was extremely bonded to me. She would be devastated without me.
Tell me how the cat died in your custody. Tell me how the cat died in your custody. That's not a smile story.
It's not. No, it's absolutely devastating. I am completely torn up about it. Unfortunately, my boyfriend's dog was not accustomed to cats and mistook her for a toy, and she did not survive that.
What kind of a dog did your boyfriend have?
We don't know the breed. I've never done the genetic testing.
Do you have a picture of the dog?
I do not. I didn't bring any evidence. I was hoping you just used
brought your smile.
intuition.
Okay.
She's not with her boyfriend.
She said, I didn't ask you a question. There's no question before you.
Love transcends bars, Annie.
Okay, 1827, $1,000 for taking his cat, and because you're a fool. 7, 2, 8, 2827, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're done here.
Thank
This
you.
court is adjourned.
First of all, I'm glad, and I think justice was served. I'm not for Momo, but for the other scams that Jacqueline pulled.
Then I need dopamine, I need oxytocin, I need love, I need care.
Well, credit card fraud,
And Yenny said that they were going to be the person who was going to give that to me,
deception, played with my heart.
and then didn't, so I had to find it elsewhere.
It was incredibly, this was Momo.
I did not have the cat killed. I was very attached to Momo. That was my cat as well.
It was incredibly hard to deal with. I was also alone when I had to process that news, so.
I did not set a hitman out on the cat. That's a lot to say.
She saw me as a sugar daddy, and she saw herself as a wannabe Anna Nicole Smith. Unfortunately, neither of us are those things.
Could I plead the fifth on finding another sugar daddy?
Yet another lesson we learned about cohabitants living together and the rules of what not to do. No cars, no pets, no money exchanges.
No joint pets, no joint.
Exactly. But today we learned a new one. Today, don't give access to your credit card to anyone that you don't want racking up charges for any purpose, even to visit a secondary lover in another state.
You know, the divorce rate in this country is still hovering somewhere around 50%. The living togethers who don't quite make it to the marriage place is a much greater number.
Yeah.
Living togethers don't stay together 70% of the time. Why in the world would you buy a pet together?
It's a risk.
Car together? A timeshare together?
True.
Or give somebody a credit card.
Yeah.
At the time that you do it, you're happy with them. But since at least 70% of the time you're going to go your own separate ways, at that time you're mad at each other.
And the lines get blurry.
And the lines get blurry, absolutely.
Case number 2039, Mormon versus Strauss. All party, please step forward.
Derek Mormon is suing his former friend, Sherry Strauss, for car repairs and harassment.
Mr. Mormon, the defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
A casual friend, a romantic friend.
Maybe both, a casual romantic friend.
How long do you know her?
14 years at least, probably closer to 15, yeah.
Were you ever together as a couple?
No, ma'am.
And it is your claim that because she was in financial trouble, you extended a loan to her to fix her car.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this case is about. You also say she harassed you, but most of this case is about the loans to fix her car. Ms. Strauss says that you did, in fact, work on her car, but you caused more damage to it than it originally had. And she is counterclaiming for car repairs that she has to make because of work that you did on the car. Who is this person?
My fiance.
Okay, he's not a mechanic.
No.
And who is the woman?
She is the property manager of the motel that I'm living in.
So you don't have a mechanic to testify today to anything?
No, I do
Okay.
have,
The answer is no.
no, but I do have an estimate.
I don't care about an estimate. Okay, so I would like you to tell me, Ms. Strauss, when did you start to have trouble with your car?
March 2nd of 2022.
And where were you living at the time?
I had just moved into the motel.
Had you been spending any time with Mr. Mormon
Previous to that, no.
previous to March of 2022?
That's correct.
Okay. After March of 2022, did you spend any time with Mr. Mormon?
I did, yes.
Did you stay at his home?
I went there occasionally, yes.
No, but I'm asking, did you stay over at his home?
Yes.
Okay. And when you started to have trouble with the car in March, when you hadn't been staying at Mr. Mormon's house, did you call him and let him know you were having trouble with your car?
I did as a friend, yes.
And what did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
I just told him I dropped my son off at his taekwondo, and we were trying to leave, and my car was not working.
And what did
I
he
couldn't
say
get
to you?
That he will come and help me.
And help you?
Yeah.
That was on March 2nd.
That was on March 2nd, yes.
And did he come to the motel where you were staying?
No, he did not.
Well, how did he come and help you with the car?
Because my car was at my son's taekwondo, so he went there.
He came to where you were. And did he take your car someplace?
Not on that day, no.
What did he do on that day?
On that day, he took me and my son home.
So that was March 2nd. Keep going. March 2nd, March 3rd.
And then on March 3rd, we ended up having my car taken over to O'Reilly's. Well, we got a battery.
How much was it?
It was $167.
Who paid for it?
I did.
So then you were driving it again? It's not,
Yes,
yes.
correct.
Okay. And when was the next time there was difficulty with the car?
Then the next time was March 7th. It died again.
So on March 7th, the car died again. And what did you do?
Then on March 7th, I called him and told him that something's wrong with my car again. Now it's not starting again.
Okay. And tell me why you called him.
Because as a good friend, like I said, we've been friends for 15 years. As it is, I don't ask anybody for help. I usually try to do everything on my own. But,
Okay, so you called him and said the car died again.
Yep, but he had made it known that he was knowledgeable about cars, so I figured that maybe he would know what was going on.
You know who else is knowledgeable? Mechanics. You want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
He showed up at my motel threatening.
What did he want?
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, "Oh, it's not about the money." He goes, "I just want you."
Derek Mormon says his former friend Sherry Strauss owes for car repairs. Sherry is countersuing, claiming Derek damaged her car, trying to fix it.
Okay, so on the 7th, you called him again and said, I'm having trouble. What did he do?
Then on the 7th, I had to go to work, so I had another friend take me to work. He came and picked me up from work, and we took my car back over to O'Reilly's, took the battery out, had them test it. The battery had been drained. Figured it was the alternator, got the alternator. He put the alternator in.
Who paid for all of these repairs? That's what it's about. That's
I
what
paid
this case
for
is.
'em.
So what is he suing for?
Because later on, my brakes and rotors went out and I got a flat tire. So at that time, yes, I did call him and let him know.
On what date was that?
That was on April 16th of 2022.
Okay. Well, right now it's gone on the fritz on the 2nd, the 7th, and April 16th. So that's a lot of aggravation. So on April 16th fiasco with the car and the repairs, how much was that?
$234.
Who paid for that?
He said that he would pay for it. He originally told me that his mechanic would allow me to make payments. And when we went to go pick it up on April 22nd, found out that that was not the case.
Okay, so he wasn't going to allow you to make payments,
No.
which mechanics usually don't. So how much was the bill?
So the bill was $567.91.
And he paid for that because they wouldn't let you make payments.
He paid for that because he knew I was...
No,
gonna have
not
to
he
bond.
knew. You were originally going to pay for that and make payments.
Yeah, I was gonna
Just a
make
second.
payments.
You were originally going to pay for it and make payments. You found out that you couldn't make payments, so he said, fine, I will make the full payment to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But it was always your intention to pay for the repairs of the car, only you wanted to pay for it in a slower fashion.
Right, I was going to make the payments to the mechanic, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, did you pay him back any of the $567?
I gave him $300 to help him with rent, but
Just a second. Tell me when you gave him $300 for rent.
I gave him the $300 on April 29th.
That was after you picked up the car. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she give you $300 for rent?
No, Your Honor, I don't need anybody to help me pay my rent.
Do you have any proof that you gave him $300 for rent, a withdrawal from a bank or anything?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so far you owe $567. Is that what you paid for her in April?
No, Your Honor, I paid $674.76.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, April 18th. $674. Would you show this to Ms. Strauss? Okay. Mr. Mormon,
Yes, Your Honor.
there subsequently came a time, which I think probably was a more social issue than anything else, when the defendant advised.
I have a different one that shows
May I
the
s-
receipt right there.
May I see it?
The $567.91.
Well, I actually am not understanding this. He paid for this with his Visa card. Is that right?
That's correct.
Could you explain this to me? This is your Visa card. This is the same invoice. One of them is for $567.91, and the one that you gave me, the same invoice number, is $674.76. Sarah, would you do me a favor, please?
Sure.
Would you add up?
From both or just the top one?
Well, let's start with just the top one, for which there is a Visa receipt. So I gather that all this became problematic when you started to see a serious boyfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, after March, you said you stayed occasionally at Mr. Mormon's. When you stayed at Mr. Mormon's, was that more of a social? I mean, was it a more intimate relationship than just social friends? This was after March, after you were in the motel.
We're kind of like friends with, benefits in a way, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then you found someone new, and according to him, you advised him that you had somebody new, and now he wants the money for the car, which you were going to pay anyway. You were going to
Originally,
pay
I
it.
figured it was a friend helping a friend. I didn't
No,
think of
it
it as
wasn't.
a loan.
No. It wasn't. Even you say, Ms. Strauss, it was your intention to pay this bill for your car as you would pay the other bills for your car. However, when you got there, you found you couldn't make time payments. So he said, well, you need a car. I'll lay it out up front. But it was always your intention to pay for your own car. Do we have a...
That is the correct number.
Which-
And then at the bottom, that totals. And then the additional to bring you to 567 is the tax.
Okay. Now, so the next part of your case is about harassment. By whom and for what?
Your Honor, after Mr. Martinez got into the picture.
That's this gentleman.
Yes, ma'am. He was a man of his word, and he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer, which I didn't.
Okay, so you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Text messages, my witness here, Miss Montoya.
No, just a second.
Okay.
Text messages what?
Just saying, hey, leave her alone, which is fine.
Okay, that's all right. That's not harassment.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, fine.
But it was, hey, I'm going to pay you. I'm a man of my word.
Okay, well, that you're not
Where's my
suing him,
money?
so who cares about that?
Yeah.
She owes you $567. That's what you put on your visa. Now, let's get to your money owed for car repairs and harassment. Okay. Now, you don't have a mechanic here, so what your claim is that whatever he did to the car, he didn't do well, so you had to take the car, or you're going to have to take the car to another mechanic. I don't care. You would plan to fix this car yourself. The problem was with payments. If you had to make additional repairs to the car, that's not his problem. Okay, now you want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
Well, that's why I have my two witnesses here. He spent a lot of time calling me names. He's called my fiance names. He showed up at my motel threatening and stuff like that. So
What did he want?
he wanted his money,
Okay.
but at one point in
Now
time-
he's got his, I don't need to speak to you.
No, but
Now he's got his money.
when I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, oh, it's not about the money. He goes, I just want you. He's got several messages from me, how he loves me, he wants to be with me, and all this and that.
Yeah, but you don't love him and you don't want to be with him, so now you have to pay him for your car repairs, $567.
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
Well-
We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
Hey, justice was served, and that's all that matters.
It was about because he didn't have me. I went with somebody else, and I wasn't with him.
She was a friend, and I tried to help her out.
We've been friends for a long time, so I told him we would be, that I wanted to be his friend.
I ain't going to help, I can tell you
I
that.
want to continue the friendship, and he didn't want that.
No, never again on her, no.
Time to find another mechanic.
So I really didn't have so much trouble with that case because the defendant had really planned on paying for her car repairs. Do I think that the guy said to her, you can make payments, and when she got there, he said, no, who knows? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
He felt used,
Which I think is valid.
which, give somebody money, and then you've had sort of a friends with benefits relationship, and all of a sudden you got somebody new, and you're driving around in a car that
Yep.
you paid to repair. Anyway, it was simple and easy.
It was. They're not all that easy.
Marquis Marshall and Kai Booker are suing their former employer, Gary Zephyrin, for unpaid wages.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2071, Booker Marshall versus Zephyrin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Zephyrin?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Zephyrin, you're being sued by these two people because they say they worked for you delivering packages, I believe, of auto parts. Is that right?
Yes, Judge.
And you didn't pay them. That's simple. You're in the auto parts business or just the delivery business?
Just the delivery business.
For how long?
For about a year.
Explain the business to me, since you're not in the auto parts business, just the delivery business. I have to understand the process and keep it short.
The process is I go to the store, pick up the car parts.
Go to what store?
Hyundai or Toyota.
So you go to the manufacturer
Yes.
or the dealership
The dealership.
and get the part.
And get the part and deliver.
And you take them to independent garages that fix cars?
Yes.
Okay, now I understand. Your business is you're sort of a middle person between your local auto repair shop and the manufacturer who manufactures those parts or its dealer.
Yes, that's correct.
You don't make a markup on the part, you're just paid for your delivery service. Is that right?
Yes. I do not pay for the parts. All I do is drive and deliver the parts.
So the part has already been ordered and paid for
Yes.
by the garage, by ABC Garage.
Yes.
They just send you to expedite the delivery.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much do you get paid for each delivery?
Well, it's not by each delivery. At this particular contract, it was between $120 and $160 a day.
And you said that this particular contract, what contract is that?
This is the car parts contract. Before the car parts, delivering the car parts, I was delivering packages.
But this operation was just car parts.
Yes, it was.
Now, at some point, these two people, how many vans do you have that deliver the parts?
Currently, I have one van,
What were they using to deliver the parts?
the van that I have.
And what did you do?
I worked in my 9 to 5.
You had a different job.
Yes.
What kind of job did you have?
I work at the Navy Yard.
So this is sort of a side gig.
A hobby, I would say.
Well, a hobby, $120, $160 a day is a nice hobby.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. And so based upon what you told me before, both of these people did in fact deliver parts using your van to various ABC garages.
They also used it for personal use too, yeah.
I don't care, but they used it because you didn't use it. You were doing your day job, according to you.
Yes.
And this was a side gig where these two people were working during the day to deliver the parts.
Mr. Marshall was working during the day.
Okay, let's just say Mr. Marshall.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Marshall sort of contracted with Miss Booker, or did you?
Mr. Marshall did.
You contracted with her. You agreed with her that you would split up this delivery. You would do it a couple of days, and she would do it a couple of days.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so you had no direct agreement with him. Miss Booker, look at me. My question is, did you have a direct agreement or ever meet or discuss salary with the defendant?
No, I did not discuss.
And you can sit down.
Okay.
Because you have to have some sort of an agreement with someone in order to sue them. You had no agreement with him. Whatever agreement you had with him, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
And am I correct, Mr. Marshall, that you were supposed to be paid, according to you, a certain amount per day to make these deliveries? You decided you wanted to work 3 days a week and she would work 2?
Yes.
That's what I thought I read. Okay. How much was the defendant supposed to pay you a day?
$80, Judge.
So you had a deal for between $120 and $160 a day. You were paying him $80. You were working your day job. And so you were either going to get $40 or $80, depending upon the work that was done, right?
Correct.
And you were going to get that as a result of his work.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, this is what you say. You say that you all decided to go into business together. You bought this van. You paid for the insurance. He was going to work and make the deliveries. I'm telling you what you wrote.
Okay.
And if you have a problem with that, you'll tell me in a minute.
Okay.
He was supposed to work, make the deliveries, and not get paid until you paid off all your expenses, your startup expenses, the van, your insurance. Didn't you say that to me?
Yes, I
Or
did.
maybe I'm thinking about another case.
I did say
You
that.
did say that to me.
I just wasn't correct, the we, because I bought the van and I paid up all the stuff.
I said you paid. I didn't say he paid. You paid the van. You paid for the insurance. He was going to drive. He says you were supposed to pay him $80 a day to do that because you had a full-time job. You were making your money. Your defense to it is that that was not the agreement. The agreement was that he would work for free until all the expenses were paid off that you advanced for the little business.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How much was the van?
$2,000.
So it was an old van.
Yes.
And how many months did you work at this job before you had a kerfuffle with him?
A year and 3 months.
Is that correct, sir, that he worked a year and 3 months?
It seems more about close to a year to me.
And when you say you worked for a year, was that 52 weeks a year?
Yes.
5 days a week?
Yes. Sometimes on Saturday.
From when to when?
I would work depending
No,
on
from what month and year to what month and year?
January 2021 until March or April 2022.
And in that year plus, how much money did you make? If you kept records of the days that you worked and how many hours you worked and how much you were supposed to be paid, then I could look at that. But I can't do this. This is ridiculous.
Judge, may I explain?
You can try, but you're going to be unsuccessful, Mr. Marshall, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to try.
And later today,
He did, in fact, bring you a truck.
He didn't.
Never brought you a truck.
Never brought me the truck, never returned my money, anything.
Oh.
Marquis Marshall, and Kai Booker claim their former employer, Gary Zephyrin, owes for unpaid contractor work.
Okay. In that year plus, how much money did you make?
Judge, it's a tough question because Mr. Zephyrin never paid me what he was supposed to pay me. He always came up with an excuse or a reason why.
I want to know how much money you made in that year.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Well,
Judge.
Then I can't help you. I have to know how much money he paid you, and I'm going to figure out from how much money he paid you, because even if I buy his defense, the van was only $2,000. So you have to sit down and figure out how much, unless you know. How much did you pay him?
Around $320 a week.
What do you mean around? I mean, you're a businessman.
He did not work 5 days a week. He's saying he worked 4 to 6 days a week. All he worked was 3 to 5 days a week.
I assume you were paid in cash?
Yes.
But you were paid during that year.
Yes.
Give me an idea in thousands how much you were paid.
Around $20,000.
$20,000.
Yes, Judge.
Around.
Yes, Judge.
So he did, in fact, pay you.
He didn't pay me everything he was supposed to pay me, Judge.
Well, how am I supposed to figure that out, sir? How am I supposed to figure that out? You keep records of what you delivered? Does he keep records? He doesn't have to prove your case. You have to prove your case.
Yes, Judge.
So do you keep records of when you worked and when you were paid?
Yes, I keep records of when I worked, Judge, but I did not keep records of what I was paid because we're always arguing. He never paid me the full $700.
That's not the reason you don't keep records. I'm sorry, Mr. Marshall. If you kept records of the days that you worked and how many hours you worked and how much you were supposed to be paid, then I could look at that. And I can ask him, and I assume he's a businessman. He would have the same records, and there may be a dispute, but I can't do this. This is ridiculous.
Judge, may I explain?
You can try, but you're going to be unsuccessful, Mr. Marshall, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to try.
I appreciate it, Your Honor. Mr. Zephyrin was my friend. We went to the same high school, played on the same high school basketball team. I was the MVP, he was the team captain. Recently, his health has been declining. Because his health has been declining a year ago, I went to Mr. Zephyrin and I said, I'm a private contractor and I have different contracts with places. I think that you should do private contracts so you can spend more time with your kids and your wife. I apologize, but I'm emotional.
Well, don't get emotional.
I used to love
Mr. Marshall.
this gentleman.
Mr. Marshall, what I'm telling you is don't get emotional. This is not...
Okay.
It's a sad thing that you know each other for a long time, I hear, and that it's come down to a case in court. But you have to understand that in order for me to make a judgment, I need facts and information. And it's not as if you're saying to me that you delivered packages, which he acknowledges, and you were never paid. What you say is that you were shortchanged.
Yes, Judge.
And you have to be able to show me that.
I have the agreement of Mr. Zephyrin agreeing to pay me the $80 a day, and we came out with a pay
Just
scale.
a second. That's okay. I have to see when you worked and what you were paid. How am I supposed to figure out what it is that he owes you?
Because we both know that he only paid me $300 instead of the $700. We both know that.
Well, he paid you $20,000, so that's not true. According to you, he paid you $20,000. So if what you're saying that he paid you $300 and he owed you $700, is that what you're saying to me?
Yes.
Okay, so it was the last period of time that you worked for him?
Yes.
Okay, so that last period of time was when to when? Give me the month, give me the day.
January to March this year.
From January to March.
Yes, Judge.
Of 2022.
Yes, Judge.
You work and you claim you were owed $700. That's what you just said. Is that correct?
I apologize for the miscommunication, Judge. He only paid me $3 when he was supposed to pay me $7.
Just a second. You're not paying attention to me, sir. I said your claim is that he owed you $700.
He owes me more than $700.
No. What you said was he owed me $700 and he only paid me $300. Could
Correct.
you read that
yes.
back?
Yes.
Could you read
Judge.
that?
Yes, Judge. You're correct, Judge.
Okay, then we don't have to read it back. That's why I have Whitney. You said he owed me $7, he only paid me $3, which means he owes you $400.
Correct, Judge.
And that was from a January to a March.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Do you have any records of that, sir?
I paid him in cash, so I don't have any records of the payments that I was paying him. Mr. Marshall, he really never wanted me to keep records.
Okay, don't tell me what he wants. It's your business. Don't be foolish, sir. Did you have a dispute with him over this $400?
I did. We had many disputes.
Okay. Did you, in those disputes, refer to a part that got misdelivered by either the plaintiff or the person who he subcontracted with that caused you to lose a customer?
Yes.
Okay. And was that the reason that you didn't give him the $400? Just listen to my question. You had a dispute after all this time over a part, according to your answer, that was misdelivered to a customer.
Yes.
Which caused you, according to you, to lose the customer. I don't know that. But that you indicated was the reason that this arrangement went south. So my question to you is that why you didn't pay him the $400?
No, it's not. He didn't return my van.
Oh, so the reason you didn't pay him the $400 that you acknowledged that you owe him was because he kept your van.
And my contract was canceled due to cab booker.
Okay. Did you get your van back?
Yes, I did.
How many days later?
2 days later, after I threatened to call the police.
Okay, you owe him the $400, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
You can't keep somebody's van for 48 hours and still expect your money.
He's lying about the fact that we stole the van and that we had it for those 2 days.
I think it was really bad that he's suing me over this. We've been friends since high school.
Document everything that you do when you do it. That would make better sense.
But hey, things happen. He got a new girlfriend and things happen.
Not a difficult situation. If you choose to pay an employee in cash, you have to keep records. Both parties should have kept some sort of records. Otherwise, what they were asking me to do was guess. This defendant actually made it easy for me because without his statement, I would have dismissed the case. He said the reason he kept the $400 because the plaintiff did not return his van right away, kept it for 2 days. Well, that's sort of retaliatory. How do you fix $400 as
cost for keeping
as a
the
cost?
van.
You know, that's ridiculous. That's self-help. Keep records,
You should.
especially if you want to come to court.
Exactly.
Annabelle Barone is suing her ex-boyfriend, Asael Arteaga, for a loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2060, Barone versus Arteaga.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Barone, case is not a very difficult one. You met Mr. Arteaga?
Arteaga.
Take your hands out of your pockets. At a bar?
Yes.
When?
Back in June of 2021?
Did you ever live together?
No.
You always maintained your own residence and he his?
Yes, the apartment I owned was always underneath my name.
But he never lived there?
No.
Good. But you bought a car.
Yes.
In what month and year did you buy a car?
I ordered a Tesla back in, if I'm not mistaken, May. And
May of what year?
May of 2021.
Was it a new car?
Yes.
Give me a rough number. How much was it?
Out the door, 72,000.
And what color did you order?
Black.
This is what the case is about, and it's going to take me very, very little time to resolve the case. You ordered the $72,000 car in black, and because of whatever strange reason, you wanted the car wrapped. Now, I think most people know what that means, and I think I know what that means. That means you take a perfectly good car and you put a different finish on it. Is that what it means?
Yes.
You buy a car that has a nice shiny finish and looks clean, and then you put something on it that, I don't know, looks like it's been sitting out under a volcano.
I guess you could say that.
What?
I guess you could say that.
I just did. And that cost money. It cost an additional, I think, according to the papers that I read, $3,800.
No, it's $3,950.
How much?
$3,950.
And you had some of that money, but you gave him, transferred to him, $1,800 on your credit card.
Yes, so it was an agreement made between...
No, I didn't ask you. I didn't. You transferred to him $1,800 towards this wrap on his car.
I made the payment for him.
You made the payment for him on a credit card?
Yes.
And according to you, your arrangement was that he would pay you back monthly $100.
Correct.
You don't dispute that.
She offered.
Yeah, she offered. And you did, in fact, on 3 separate months, pay her back $100.
Yes.
And that means that in your view, it was a loan.
Well, it was more of a gift.
Well, then why would you pay her back $100 a month, Mr. Arteaga?
Because our finances are much different.
What do you mean?
I was getting a car. I ordered a car, so it was a gift for me. Because she already knew that I was looking for a PPF, which is a paint protection film. So I'm more...
Listen to me.
Yeah.
You're not answering my question. You're doing a dance around my question. If it was a gift to you, this $1,800 towards the wrap for your car, Why did you pay her back $300?
To help her out.
Yeah. And then you stopped, because that sounds ridiculous. You still have the Tesla?
I still do.
Yes. You making payments on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical superintendent.
Expensive car.
Indeed it is.
You're a single guy?
Yes.
That's what single guys do with their money. Tell me why you stopped paying her back, Mr. Artiega.
Things got sour very quick.
So things got sour with the relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And is that when you stopped paying her?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500 is what he owes you for the balance of the loan. Thank you. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
We broke up. It was a nasty breakup. There was bad feelings and tensions between the both of us.
It was a bad breakup, yes, but there's a lot more details to it.
It was just out of pettiness at the end of the day.
Because she caused a lot of rifts.
I'm just not going to loan out money to just anyone from here on out.
I'm glad it's over.
And I'm really happy I get my $1,500 back.
Now that we've been here for a little while and I've been learning from you and all these cases that we've seen, still, rule number one, never give a boyfriend money and expect to ever see it again. You will never see it again. It gets messy, it gets entangled, and we see it time and time again. So it's just hits even harder at home.
Have you noticed, Sarah, that it's probably 80-20 that women give money to boyfriends?
At least what we've seen here, yes.
You know, and if this is a microcosm of the world, and I don't know what that is, I haven't been able to figure it out. I've been doing this kind of business for 30 years, and I can't figure out why. Perfectly lovely young woman, guy's buying a $72,000 car and says, hey, babe, I'm short $1,800. Well, if you're short $1,800, buy a cheaper car.
Yeah.
You know, there are cars that cost less than $72,000. Anyway.
But women should be smarter and not agree to do
that. They ought to make mandatory watching these cases as part of a growing up process.
A lot of great life lessons, for sure.
Suing her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, for vet bills and emotional distress resulting from a dogfight.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 1172, Petrick versus Opulencia Munix.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Petrie, this is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's his first name?
Zion.
Zion's 12?
Yes.
And you got him a puppy.
Correct.
When?
May of 2019.
What kind?
I'm not quite sure.
Zion, would you stand up? Because even your mom wasn't a witness to this dog incident. Zion, what kind of dog did your mom buy you?
He's a Frenchie and then I believe a Terrier Falcon.
Do you have a picture of it?
Yes.
May I see it, please? When you say a Frenchie, you mean a French bulldog?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And how much does he weigh? Do you know?
Right now, he currently weighs 12 pounds.
An incident happened on the 15th of April.
Yes.
You weren't present during that incident.
No, Your Honor.
Would you change places with Zion? I want him to be right in the middle. Zion, you were out walking your dog. Dog's name is?
Tony.
You were walking him on a leash.
Yes.
At what time of day?
Like afternoonish.
Okay. Now, you're walking Tony, and he was on a leash. And what happened next?
Me and my friend, we were walking, going onto the trail, and then...
Okay, so you were with a friend?
Yes.
Explain to me where the trail is.
It's like if you go from my house directly down from the lion fountain, and then you take a left, and that's how we were going onto the trail.
Where did the defendants live? Do you have the pictures?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them so I can get some idea of what you're talking about.
So you can, Your Honor, so you can get a full visual. Zion was walking this way.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. You can't tell me where he was
okay,
walking.
I'm
You
sorry.
weren't there.
Yes.
Just hand me the photograph. Thank you. Go. Zion, is this the complex where you live?
No.
Is this the complex where the defendants live?
Yes.
You live on the first floor or the second floor?
Second.
Second floor.
We did, yeah.
Okay. And this is the trail where you were going to walk with Tony. Don't shake your head. You weren't there. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Otherwise, you could sit. As a matter of fact, it's better. Sit down. Zion, this is where you were going to walk with Tony?
Yes.
Did you have to pass the defendant's house in order to get to the trail?
Yes.
And your dog was on the leash?
Yes.
Tell me what happened as you passed their house.
So as I passed, me and my friend were going on a trail, and then from behind us, the pit bull, it came running at my dog, and before I could really react, he had a hold of his neck, and like he was just like shaking him, and then I was yelling at him to stop, like I was in shock, and then by the time he stopped with his neck, he immediately moved like by his thigh, and then he started gripping it, and then we were all yelling at him to stop, and then by that time...
When you say you were all, so I have you and your friend.
Yes.
Were either of these two people there?
Her.
You?
Yes, Your Honor.
She came after her dog?
Yes, she was there.
When their pit bull grabbed onto your dog, was she there?
Yes.
Was the pit bull on a leash?
No.
Was your dog injured?
Yes.
How did the pit bull finally let go of your dog?
A man was walking down the trail. He parked his dog. He had to punch the dog a few times, and then the dog finally loosened.
Did you know who the man was?
I think my mom got in contact with him.
Now you can stand up. Did you find out who the man was?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you speak with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you find his name?
There's a group called Neighborhood Group on social media for our community, and I had asked for the gentleman who stepped in and helped my son if you could please reach out to me. And he announced himself and who he was, and so we got together at that time.
Got it. Now, sit down. You weren't home at the time of this alleged attack.
No, ma'am.
Who was this?
It's my girlfriend, Katie.
Your girlfriend was home with your pit bull.
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time I'm reading these papers, you were under house arrest.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And you were wearing an ankle bracelet.
Yes, I was.
And you live on the second floor.
Yes, I do.
So you let the pit bull out to relieve itself because you couldn't go out because you had an ankle bracelet on because you were under house arrest.
Yes, Your Honor.
The pit bull walked down the stairs by itself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were standing here when the dog ran out, was unleashed. By the time you got to where the dog had Zion's dog, tell me what you did to get the dog off Zion's dog.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, when I...
Look at me. Don't look there.
Okay.
And make sure you know I know everything.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now you're on the second floor. You've got an ankle bracelet. You're not allowed to leave the house, so you let the pit bull out by himself. He runs and attacks his dog. Do you either hear or see?
Neither, Your Honor. I was I was out there before before the attack even happened. I actually let
No, look at me.
I let him know that that my dog was out there loose, and I was going to get I was trying to get him.
No, just listen to me. Just because you say it fast doesn't dog out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's take it from there, step by step.
So I know.
Don't look over there.
I saw him walking his dog, and I went to let him know that my dog was out there, and I was
Just
ready
a
to go
second.
get him.
You saw him walking his dog.
Yes.
With a friend.
Yes, Your Honor.
On a leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you say you let him know, what did you do? Listen, what did you do? Don't cross your arms. What did you do or say to let him know?
I said, hey, my dog's out here loose. I'm going to get him.
No, let's go slow. Mercy. Hey, my dog's out loose out here.
And I'm trying to go get him.
And you're going to?
Get him.
And when you say that, you're on the porch.
No, I'm not on the porch at this point. I'm going to get my dog. Is what I'm doing.
Well, why would you let the dog out if you were going to get the dog?
I didn't think I would have to go get the dog. Like, he comes back normally. So I didn't think I was going to have to go get him.
So it is your routine to let the dog out?
Not only when on the bracelet.
Just a second.
Only when I was on the bracelet.
In what month were you placed on the bracelet? No,
May?
Don't look at him. May what?
I don't know the exact date, Your Honor.
You don't know the date that somebody put an ankle bracelet on you? How old are you?
34.
How many times have you had an ankle bracelet on?
One.
Well, then I would know the exact date when somebody came and slapped an ankle bracelet on me.
I remember the date I got it off, but I
No,
don't,
on.
I know. I don't remember the exact date that I got it on.
What date did she get the ankle bracelet on?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that even has to do with anything.
You're not sure?
No.
You're not sure? I'm going to tell you what's sure. What sure is that she says because she was wearing an ankle bracelet, that's the reason she let the pit bull out alone.
Correct.
Well, then it becomes important because that means she's let the pit bull out alone before. Now do you understand?
Pamela Petrie claims her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, owe for vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog. Anthony is countersuing for threats and harassment.
Okay, what county do you live in and what state?
King County, Seattle, Washington.
Whose pit bull is it?
Mine.
How long have you had it?
About 2 years now.
How long has she been your girlfriend?
About 3 years now.
What kind of work do you do?
I was a maintenance supervisor.
In the complex where you live?
Not that complex, but another property.
Did you get fired?
Yes.
Is that because you had a pit bull?
No.
Why?
Why? Because of her constant harassment, calling corporate.
Are you allowed to have a pit bull?
Yes.
Are you?
I was, yeah.
Let's see. King County.
I'm looking into
Your Honor.
Just a second.
So I know January 1st of 2020, the state of Washington undid their initial ban on pit bulls outright. So pit bulls were allowed in the state of Washington and counties were not allowed to ban them outright after January 1st of 2020. But I'm on the Kings County government website to see if there's anything specific.
So when you got the dog, because you said you've had the dog for 2 years, pit bulls were banned in your state. You know how much it takes to ban a dog, to get that through a legislature, to ban a dog? And I don't know why Washington undid the ban, but they did in January. But when you got the dog was a banned dog. And I don't know why you think, because the girlfriend knows she let the dog out. She says, I let the dog out, and I've done it before. Usually comes back. I told him, hey, my dog's out loose. And why you would think that an unmonitored dog, you as the owner, are not responsible for all their vet bills is mind-boggling to me.
I never once said I wasn't responsible for the vet bill.
Oh, well then what are we doing here? You said in your answer, we agreed to split them 50-50 and I paid my half. Why would they split the vet bills? Well is not an answer, sir. Well is not an answer. If she's lazy and instead of walking the dog on a leash, a dog that can cause significant damage because the dog might have just as well attacked the child as the dog.
Dog would never attack a child.
Would only attack another dog. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I have
You
pictures
want
of
me
my
to
dog,
show you?
my
do you
dog
want
around other dogs around kids.
Well, let me tell you.
It was the actions of that little dog.
I want to tell you this.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I have drawers full of letters from grandparents and parents who say, my pit bull is wonderful, I thought. And then one day, it turned. And when a dog that weighs 10 pounds or 12 pounds turns on you and snaps at you, I have a dog that weighs 4 pounds. If I annoy her and she's sleeping and I wake her up and she nips me, which she hasn't done, smart, I would get hurt a little bit. But when a pit bull attacks somebody, they can kill them. And if you choose to have a dog like that and you're a grown man, that would be on you. And if girlfriend over here decides that that's okay, she's a grown woman. But when you subject children to your dog, you're making them take a risk that they didn't ask for. Why would you subject a child, yours or anybody else's, from an animal that's capable of causing serious physical injury? Read the papers. There's a list of dogs in most states that insurance companies won't even insure your house if you have a particular breed of dog. Why do you think pit bull owners out there, I've heard the hate mail, don't bother, I don't read it?
There's a lot of bad owners out there.
I'm sure that there are terrific pit bull pets that are wonderful. They have the capacity to kill you. They have been known to kill you. I never knew anybody that got killed by a Shih Tzu or a Yorkie or a Chihuahua. Never. But if you go on Google and find out how many deaths and serious physical injuries were caused in the last year by pit bulls, I tell you what we're going to do. Sarah's going to look at it. I've never looked at the number. Don't speak. What you're supposed to do is put a leash on your dog and get your behind out of the house and walk the dog. Because there's no question in my mind that you and boyfriend went out downstairs to the grass area because you actually went out of the house. They didn't come and arrest you for leaving the house, did they, when you ran outside after your dog? No, they didn't arrest you. Oh, right. So you could just as easily have taken the dog out to one of these grass areas that's right near your house to relieve itself. But you were too lazy. Do we have a number?
Well, it looks like out of 430 fatal dog attacks, 185 were caused by pit bulls in the state of Washington.
Oh, God. Not even half.
Just.
The life.
You know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs there are, you idiot? Do you know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs there are? So practically 50% of the deaths in the state where you live from dog attacks were pit bulls. I want you to look and see how many dog deaths in the state of Washington were caused by Chihuahuas in the same period. And your counterclaim for harassment is dependent upon this number. Because if this number is more than 0, I will actually entertain your counterclaim for harassment. Otherwise, I'm tossing it.
Well,
that's
between
crazy.
2005 and 2018.
Appreciate that.
For the entire United States.
I'll take it.
From 2005,
Until
from 2005. You'll take what?
It's more than 0, what you just said.
Oh, then I'm going to hear your counterclaim. Do you understand? 200 people died in your state as a result of pit bull attacks.
And that's a sad situation.
Yeah, just a second. So you have to be a moron to allow a dog like that around children. You have to be a moron.
I'm not a moron.
Oh, absolutely.
Pamela Petrie is accusing her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, of refusing to pay vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog. Anthony says Pamela threatened to shoot their pit bull.
Now, can I see your vet bills, please? Now you can stand up. What's the balance that he owes on the vet bills?
Currently, right now, he paid a total of $780 with a remaining balance of $289.
Why did you stop making the payments?
Because I got fired because of her.
Oh, good. $289. Okay. Now you have a counterclaim for terroristic threats, loss of employment, moving expenses, and emotional distress.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose? Other than mine. Other than mine.
Hers.
You have to understand something. She's a wrongdoer.
Who's a wrongdoer?
She is.
You don't know that.
She allowed a dog off leash because she was lazy, and she let the dog go out, and the dog attacked another dog. And you recognized your fault because you paid the vet bills to your credit. You paid the vet bills until you said you got fired. The suggestion is you got fired because, just a second, you had a pit bull in the house. She reported it to whomever, animal control, the management company that you worked at.
Yes, ma'am.
She reported it, which is her right. Other than that, what are you complaining about? It's her right to report that because you maintained a dog in your house and your girlfriend let the dog roam free, not once, but according to her, regularly, that she felt that created a threat to everybody in the neighborhood. The truth is, so do I. So if you have something to show me about terroristic threats that she did, I'll be more than happy to see that.
I wasn't there when it happened. She was, so.
Okay. Terroristic threats.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the terroristic threats.
After the incident happened, and she came over to talk to me about it. She was just completely like freaking out, and I was trying to calm her down, but she's telling me that she brought her gun over with her to shoot my dog in the head, and like.
She was going to shoot your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see a gun?
I did not see a gun.
Okay. Next. What's next?
What's next is that she continued to call me, separating me from the work I needed to do almost daily. At least every other day, she's texting me, calling me, what are you gonna do about this bill? Where's my money at? I stopped answering her, and she starts calling corporate and calling my management company and harassing multiple people on the board there. So they're calling me, telling me to try to smooth the situation out, do what you can to. So, okay, I'll do that. But even though I did, she still kept calling. Still, it wasn't good enough for her.
Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of the remainder of the vet bill, which is $289. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I'm irate right now.
I just want to say I've been watching Judge Judy for a long time, and I knew that coming here that my case will.
She called the animal control, I think it was like a few days later or a week later or something.
Our dog, he's an all-white dog, so he was just full of blood.
The dog wasn't there by then.
We'd
already gotten rid of him.
You should have your dog on the leash. There's not much to really say about it.
It was scary. I mean, like, it's a horrible thing.
We don't want them hurting other people, nor do we want our dogs being hurt, vice versa. Just please leash your dog up.
You know, I might have to adjust that number a little bit. As I kept looking for the fatalities caused by dogs, there's so many different accounts and different numbers. But one consistent thing from all of the accounts is that pit bulls did account for a majority of fatalities from dog bites and dog interactions.
It's been my experience here that those people who have dangerous dogs, and there are a couple on that dangerous list, have to be really mindful of the fact that if an animal, and it is an animal, has the capacity to kill, it doesn't mean that it intentionally does that. I mean, if you're a homeowner, and if you can't get homeowners insurance or renter's insurance if you have a particular breed of dog, I would say to myself, doink, there is a reason that insurance companies that are in the business of making money, they have done the math. They understand that eventually they're going to pay out on a claim. So they say, you know what? You want to have that dog? Either you're going to pay a double premium or we won't insure you. And I would say to myself, as a rational human being, there are over 200 breeds of dogs. Find another breed.
Yeah.
And I say that even though I regularly get this onslaught of vocal mail. So don't bother. Don't send it. I don't read it. That's my opinion. You're entitled to yours. Goodbye. Have a good.
Suing her former roommate, Christian Galicia, and his friend, Margaret Eisen, for vet bills.
All rise. Court come to order.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 1057, Mardell versus Galicia Isaac.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Mr. Galicia was your roommate.
Correct.
Cute puppy. I assume that's Puka.
That's Puka, yeah.
When did you and Mr. Galicia move into this apartment together? You were roommates.
So I was already the leaseholder in the house, and he moved in December of 2019.
Were either of these two gentlemen witnesses to the event which resulted in injury to Puka?
No, Your Honor.
What's the purpose of their being here?
They were both witnesses to the conversation that I had with Christian regarding seeking to pay for the damages for her vet bill.
All right, it's your claim in this action that the defendants, both of them, including Ms. Eisen, who was visiting your house on that day, you were not at home,
correct,
should be held responsible for Puka's vet bills because it was as a result of their negligence that she broke her paw.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
Okay. And this injury happened to the dog on what date?
It was April 8th, 2020.
You were not at home?
No.
When you left the house on April 8th of 2020, you know what you could do, sir? You can take the dog outside.
Okay.
And if we need you, I'll call one witness and then I'll call you. You can go out that way. Dog is cute. When you went out April 8th, was Mr. Galicia there?
I think he was at home when I left, yeah.
When you left the home on April 8th, where did you put Puka?
She was in my room with the door closed, which is where she lived.
Tell me how you found out she was injured.
I received a phone call, and
from whom?
From Christian. And he told me that they had taken Puka out of the room to play with her, that they had set her up on this bar stool to keep her still, and that she had fell onto the ground.
Who had
Did not specify.
Okay, he said they placed her on the bar stool, and she slipped off.
She slipped and fell. She's very animated, so she was about 3 months old at the time, so she was very wiggly, yeah.
But he said they had placed her on a bar stool.
Correct.
And she slipped off.
Yeah, and she fell.
You went home?
Actually, they had told me that she had a serious injury because she was very upset, and I think it was her arm looked funny.
So they took her to the vet?
They sent me the information of a vet. They had looked up an emergency vet in Berkeley, and I immediately got in my car and drove to meet them at the vet.
So you took her to the vet?
Yeah, we did. I had called her once, and then on the second time, she decided to come and join us. But the first time, she had explained, oh, just wait until I arrive, and then we can take her to the vet.
Okay. Did you, in fact, Mr. Galicia, telephone the plaintiff and let her know that you were taking the puppy out of her room and placed her on a bar stool from which she fell off? Did you say that to her?
So...
That's either a yes or a no.
No.
What did you tell her?
I told her that...
No, look at me.
Okay. I told her that the dog had been let out by us, and when we were...
Look at me.
Setting up to go to work out, the dog was running around, had a lot of energy, and as a result, we tried to control the dog.
Mr. Galicia, it's always easier, Mr. Galicia, to tell me the direct story the first time. Do you understand? It's less embarrassing. Believe me, it's less embarrassing. So I'm going to put an eraser on the last 3 minutes of your fumfering. Did you tell the plaintiff that we put the puppy on a bar stool, she slipped off, I think she broke her paw. Her paw looks funny. Did you tell her that?
We told her...
No, you didn't tell her that the dog had energy. That's a lie. That's a lie. That would not have been a reason for an emergency call. The dog has a lot of energy. Do you understand, Miss Eisen? You want me to make this easier for you? Were you present when Mr. Galicia called the plaintiff?
I was. I was on the phone calling vets at the time.
Did you overhear the conversation?
Bits and pieces, not the whole thing.
Did you and or Mr. Galicia, in fact, take this energetic little dog and put her on a bar stool?
No.
Tell me what happened.
We let Puka out of the room. She was running around. She tried to jump for the stool. She missed and broke her paw.
Did you, Mr. Galicia, offer to pay part of the vet bill?
Yes.
If the incident happened as you both are suggesting to me, that's not your fault. If, on the other hand, you let the dog out and you were trying to exercise and you were trying to calm her down and put her up on the bar stool so that you could continue with your workout, which is what you were doing, you would be responsible. Yes.
Your Honor, I just want to say that there was no precedent for them to even go in my room and take my dog out.
I don't care about that.
Okay.
I don't care about that, actually. You have a puppy in the room, you're not home, you don't even know if he's home. The puppy hears other people outside crying and whimpering to come outside. That's very annoying. Aside from everything else, it's very annoying and unkind, actually, to the dog, in addition to the other people who live in the house. I mean, you get a dog, you're supposed to be around all the time or take it with you. So I don't care what your rules are. I'm just trying to visualize. I've had puppies all my life. You know, they'll try to jump up on a couch or they'll try to jump up, but it just doesn't make sense to me for a puppy to try to jump up on a bar stool and then fall. It makes sense to me that the puppy fell off the bar stool. It also doesn't make sense to me putting a puppy on a bar stool. Do you have any other evidence to show me that that's how the dog was injured?
No, only what they told me on the phone.
Okay. You went to the vet.
Correct.
You met them at the vet. Both of them.
Yes.
Who paid the vet bill?
I did.
What conversation did you vet?
it was during COVID, and I had to give the dog to the nurse at the door, and they took her inside, and I had to wait outside.
So you met them at the vet, you saw the puppy was injured, the vet took the puppy, and then there's a period of time that all three of you were standing there.
Yes.
Now at that time, look at me, at that time, a normal person, you look like a normal person, would have said, tell me exactly what happened. Really, tell me exactly what happened. So you had to have had a discussion. Now I want you to be very careful of what you tell me. Tell me what the discussion was that you had with them while waiting for Puka to be examined by the vet.
The conversation was brief. They said, do you want us to wait here with you? Because I had to wait outside, and I was in my car, they were in their car. I said, no, I don't want you to wait. You can just go back to the house, and I'll wait here to see what happens with Puka. That was the end of the conversation, because he had already told me what happened on the phone.
Well, on the phone you say that they were working out and they put Puka on a bar stool, the dog fell off.
Yeah, they placed her on there for some, I don't know why, and she fell, and that her arm was broken as a result.
Well, they didn't know her arm was broken. They said it was injured.
I mean, if there's a picture of Puka when I handed her to the vet and her arm's like this,
So they were concerned enough to take her. The normal question would be, why did you place her on the bar stool? That would be a question that I would say immediately. What was she doing on a bar stool?
I wasn't indignant in the moment. I was just trying to decide what the next step was, get her to the vet. She wasn't at the vet. She was suffering.
Oh, no.
She was in pain.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
I'm not discarding that. I'm just saying to you, if one of my children or one of my grandchildren was playing with one of my puppies when I had a puppy and said to me, I put the puppy on a bar stool, because I have bar stools in my house, and she fell off and it looks like she broke her leg, my first thinking when you put the dog on a bar stool. See, that would be my first reaction, but I could be a vicious person.
Zoe Emdelel says her former roommate, Christian Galicia, and his friend, Margaret Eisen, are responsible for vet bills after Zoe's puppy broke her leg.
Now, it would be like saying, I put the dog on a shelf in the living room, and the dog fell off the shelf in the living room. Your first question is, what did you put the dog on a shelf for?
I agree.
But you didn't ask that question. That's what you say. They say that the dog made a leap and broke its foot. I think that what you're doing is, because I've read your complaint, what you're saying is it was a result of them taking the dog out of the bedroom in opposition to what you had instructed them to do with the dog, which was leave the dog in your room. That sounds to me more plausible reason for you to think that they're responsible for the vet bill. That as a result of their playing with the dog, if the dog was in the bedroom, the dog would not have been injured, and therefore they took the dog out of the bedroom, therefore they're responsible for the vet bill. Well, that would have been plausible for me to say, well, she could think that. But it has to be a big leap for me to say, I put the dog on a shelf and the dog fell off the shelf and broke its paw, and I, as the owner of a 3-month-old puppy, didn't say to you, at that moment it would have come out instinctively. Where was your brain when you put the dog on the shelf? If that's what they said. Now you can stand up. Your last name?
Seckelman.
Okay, so were you privy to any conversation between the plaintiff and either of the defendants where either of them acknowledged that they put the dog on a stool?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Sure. I had my door creaked open, and I suddenly heard Puka scream. I came out as a normal reaction saying, what's going on? And they were huddled around Puka, and they said that
Look at me.
Sure. They said that an exercise, they needed, and she was, running around, scampering around, they needed to set her down. So they set her on the stool so that they wouldn't interrupt their workout. And
just a second, who told you that?
They did.
Who's the they? I mean, they're both talking at the same time?
No. Christian explained this to me, and she was also present.
She was present?
Yes, they were working out.
Just a second.
Sure.
I want you to go back and tell me they were huddled around Puka.
Mm-hmm.
You came in, you said, what happened?
Yes.
Okay. And Christian said to you?
Christian said to me that the reason that they had set Puka on the stool was because she's a high-energy dog. She scampers around. They're doing push-ups or sit-ups or whatever kind of workout they're doing, and it's being interrupted by the dog because the dog is very affectionate and wants attention. So this closest object to them.
Did he say all this to you?
Yes.
He said all of this to you. And he said, and the closest object was the stool.
Yes.
Mr. Galicia, you recall that conversation?
No. I do recall Jimmy coming out.
Right here.
I do recall Jimmy coming out after Puka had injured herself. And at that time, that's when I told Jimmy that Puka had injured herself.
No. He asked you what happened.
Yeah.
He says that you told him that you were doing exercises and she was very affectionate, so you were trying to do push-ups, and you set her on the stool so that she wouldn't be licking your face. Or He says you told him that.
And I have to disagree with him.
What did you tell him? He came out. You remember he came out.
I told him that Puka was running around, went for the stool, jumped for the stool, and as a result, injured herself.
That's what you told him. Okay. Now, this is my next question. So during the time that you were there, this incident happened, went to the vet. The vet had a bill. So you all must have been present in the house during conversations that you had over payment of the bill.
Yes.
And there had to be at some point, other than today, that Mr. Galicia said that it wasn't his fault the dog jumped at the stool. In what period of time after the dog was injured did you have these discussions in the house when he said, that's not what I said, that I set her up there? Or are you telling me that this is the first time you're hearing this story?
Well, it's the first time I'm hearing it being denied and, fabricated.
Okay. Tell me what you heard on the day it happened.
I was in my room.
No, you told me that.
Okay.
You told me that.
Right.
And then you came outside and you told me what he told you.
Correct.
That's a different story from what he's telling today. My question to you is today the first time, because you all lived together for months, is today the first time that you heard this different version of the events of April 18th?
Yes. Today is the first time I'm hearing a totally different
version.
Version, yes.
Okay. How many times had you discussed as roommates what happened on that day after April 18th?
I believe the way it went is that Zoe requested payment and it wasn't happening. And so I, being a roommate, I stepped in and offered to be a mediator. I said, can I sit down? Maybe we should have a talk as roommates and just have a discussion.
Do you remember when that was?
Pinpointing the exact date, I mean...
A month?
Yeah, a few weeks later.
A few weeks later?
Yeah, and that was after repeated attempts.
To get the vet bill paid?
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm not asking you. So you said I'm a roommate, maybe I could be a mediator.
Correct.
Let me hear about this mediation.
It was essentially similar to what we're doing today. Zoe explained her feelings, her situation, and Christian did the same.
Well, I want you to tell me exactly what Christian said.
It was a discussion of logic. It was, were you here, and did you put Puka on the stool? Yes or no? And when he said yes, we said, well, then what in your mind makes you think that